So we are now getting brand new comments from the president after he temporarily takes his finger off the trigger with Iran. He's slamming details of the deal. He says that Iran is currently leaking, but we are getting some brand new information on the potential agreement from the White House. So as we begin a new hour, welcome back. I'm Bill Hemmer, live in New York City. Dana's got the day off. She's back on Monday. And Jackie is back in New York.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Awesome.
Happy with you on a summer Friday.
Yes.
I'm Jackie Heinrich.
Feels good.
It does feel good. President Trump is sounding optimistic, claiming a deal with Iran has been approved at the highest level. A White House official is telling Fox Iran's nuclear material will be destroyed and removed. Its nuclear program will be dismantled. None of their sanctioned money will be released until they carry out the terms of the deal. The Strait of Hormuz will be open, and Iran will not provide any funding for terrorist groups. But the regime is publicly insisting that nothing's been finalized, with some key issues still on the table.
So President Trump saying this on Truth Social a moment ago. Here we go now. Read it all to you. The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth. Very dishonorable people to deal with. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith. Amazing. Also, their totally rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable. They better get their act together and fast. End quote. Dan Hoffman from last hour summed it up this way.
We have to be careful about not giving up any of the leverage we have. We can't give Iran any sanctions relief or stop the blockade, or I believe stop the threat of military strikes unless we get exactly what we want with some verifiable means that Iran is sticking to the deal.
Max Gorden is live in Dubai with the latest. Good morning, Max.
Hey there, Jackie. U.S. forces reported shooting down 2 Iranian attack drones that were attempting to strike commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. This comes after President Trump called off strikes on Iran last night and says that a memorandum of understanding with Iran could be signed in the next couple of days. Take a listen.
They've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take. And they want to make the deal a lot more than I do.
But there's a lot of uncertainty about what might be included in a potential deal. According to Iranian state media, the 14-page draft includes U.S. commitments to lift sanctions on Iran, withdraw troops, and release frozen Iranian funds. Iran's foreign ministry says much of the agreement has been outlined, but nothing is currently finalized. Meanwhile, just in the past few minutes, President Trump posted on Truth Social saying the terms that Iran leaked out to the news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. And at today's Friday prayers in Tehran, hardliners were defiant.
This enemy does not understand the language of negotiation. It does not understand the language of a ceasefire. It understands the language of force. And thank God our armed forces have shown them the language of force and will continue to do so.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to President Trump about the deal and released a statement today saying, in part, as long as I am the Prime Minister of Israel, Iran will not have nuclear weapons. President Trump and I are in full agreement on this issue. President Trump says that the naval blockade of Iran will remain in place until the agreement has been signed. And a signing ceremony could come as early as Sunday in Geneva, but Iranian state media is reporting that those reports of that signing ceremony are false, so we're just going to have to wait and see. Jackie?
Seems like we've heard this before. We'll see if it's different this time.
Yep.
Max Gorden, thank you.
Let's get some analysis now. Retired General Joseph Votel, former commander of CENTCOM. Great to have you on, sir. And thank you for being here today. Here's one line from the Institute of Study of War. Their synopsis today is 4 pages long, but here's one line. Iran does not view the current phase in the conflict as negotiations in pursuit of a deal. It believes it is at war and that war will end with a deal. I don't know how you interpret that, General, but is this time for real?
Well, we'll see. Time will tell. There's been a lot of time that has passed, a lot more pressure put on the regime since the start of the ceasefire. But again, the regime demonstrates a level of resilience here in terms of its ability to drag out negotiations and try to maneuver themselves to get in the very, very best position they can. But again, I think we have to take the president at his word here, and we'll see what happens in the very near future.
Now, we've been here before, General. I mean, in April, it was the president's warning that a whole civilization will die unless, Iran comes to an agreement. Eventually, they extended the ceasefire for another several weeks. But the threat to go after Iran's bridges and power plants and his talk about Karg Island seems to be tangibly different. Here's what he said yesterday.
Is the Karg Island operation off the table, and are you ruling out boots on the ground
now
at
it
this
would
point?
be. We signed this agreement. It would be. They weren't so thrilled when they heard that that's what I would have done.
So he says Karg Island's off the table if it's signed, which would imply it's maybe on the table if it's not signed. Is that a practical thing to do? What would be the challenges with that?
Yeah, I think we should keep all options on the table until we actually move forward with this. I think what the president did late yesterday, was with this escalation pause I think that was directly tied to this, kind of near final framework agreement. And I think he's giving that an opportunity to move forward to see if we can pursue it that direction. But I think it's really critical throughout all of this that we do not take anything off the table. And as Dan Hoffman highlighted, we don't want to give up any tools that are going to be necessary for us as we continue to move through this whole process. So
yeah, I guess the
again,
deal, yeah, General, Iran has a vote in this, and I'm just looking at this quote in the Wall Street Journal from last evening. Foreign Ministry says Iran has reached a final conclusion. Iran has not reached a final conclusion about the agreement. We will announce it when we reach a conclusion. That, to me, sounds like these negotiations are still pretty hot.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think what we're really talking about here is a framework for actually negotiations to take place. And I think it's important, I think, for American citizens to appreciate that this is what we're trying to do is we're trying to shift from kind of active war, coercive military operations to more coercive diplomacy, where we actually can begin to address some of the underlying issues here. Ending the war, resolving the situation in the Straits of Hormuz, and then ultimately addressing the nuclear issues. And that's what this agreement is designed to do, is to set up the framework so that we can move forward on those issues.
Last point here. As former head of CENTCOM, would you have hit them again last night, or would you have taken your foot off the gas?
We would have followed the orders of the President of the United States, of course. But, I think the military, I think CENTCOM's done a fantastic job of keeping the pressure on them and maintaining a high level of readiness so they can do that when the President orders. So I think it's important to keep that in our quiver as we move forward.
All right, General Joseph Votel, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.